What would it be like if instructors and students could participate with each other directly and earn revenue and rewards from learning and educating without having a middleman? That is what the Wisdom Courses platform is aiming to solve, among many other things that will be new and refreshing to the educational industry. Today in this interview, part 2 of our 9-part series, we're talking with Max, who is leading the way for developing the Wisdom Courses platform. With everything from master classes to wallet connection to credentialing, he's considering things from top to bottom with a great team that is building something very special. Let's get into it. Max, we're back.
It's good to see you.
Yes, it's good to see you.
Looking forward to
it. We're gonna really get into it today. And we were talking before we started here about what's most valuable for people in watching this series. And I think it is as much seeing the protocol and seeing what people can do with this as hearing us think through what it is that we're doing. And so with that in mind, we've left some things undiscovered. So we're going to talk through what might happen as we're forming this. Not only the content that's on the platform, but because of this partnership with Stuff and the minting of the workbook as a DEA, we have different considerations there. And it also occurs to me in making this that not everyone really learns online, and not everyone has shared something online. So many of us have skills and things that probably other people would really like to know. And we don't always think about ourselves as teachers. I'm not a teacher. I'm just someone who has discovered things and likes to make things easier on people. And that's a lot of Cardano actually overall, and blockchain overall, because it's emerging. We're all figuring it out and trying to share it with each other. So this is also a call for people to take this in and think about what is something that they might share via the Wisdom platform, or what is it that they might want to learn that could be on the Wisdom platform. And those are going to be fun to explore. So
yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I appreciate that last conversation we had, and really just the potential for this workbook, especially what you're doing with the DEA. We're excited to be a part of it here at Wisdom. And so I couldn't be happier to participate in this, and definitely to kind of dive deep on what we're looking at here and bringing this to a reality, which I think is closer than people might imagine.
Yeah. So much is just happening all the time. And you guys, I want to come back to it at the end, but you guys have your own Fund 13 proposal, which is going to deliver such fantastic things. And it's just such a great time to be sort of building at the same time together. And I want to touch on some of those things also towards the end, so people can check out that proposal and learn more about it.
Yeah, no problem. Happy to.
Yeah. So we're looking at what a user would see if they come to Wisdom Courses right now. So this is the beginning. And let's say that I am, my friend just told me about that I could participate, that I can learn. I don't really know. My friend knows a lot more than I do. They say, go and check it out. There's a lot of stuff you could learn. And I'm just coming here for the first time. Let's look at it from that perspective and see what I could come and figure out, and how I could peruse this and how I can make the most use of the site.
Yeah, absolutely. So Wisdom overall, what people can kind of imagine, if this is somewhat of a more novel concept, is similar to, the more platform called Udemy. So it's an online learning platform. It's designed to provide courses. It provides the opportunity for both students and instructors simultaneously to participate on this platform, for creators to create their own courses, such as you're doing with this amazing workbook, as well as students to take these great courses and to digest information. Now, initially, as a Cardano-based project, right, our focus is on the ecosystem we call home, where we originated out of. And, with that, our focus has been on Cardano-centric courses. But now what we want to be able to do is actually make it more towards, any kind of course, such as like a Udemy or Coursera might have. We want to make this a platform, really a beacon of knowledge, where, there's no barriers. You can learn online, have a wide array of great features. And, with that, I guess we should just start off by taking an introduction of the site. So when you first visit for the first time, this is what you're going to see here. What we have initially is a course spotlight. So what we typically do is cycle out courses maybe every few weeks or every week, especially if there's a big course launching on our platform, where if every new user and veteran user alike will be able to see the top course of the week or the hottest new release. And with that, as you scroll down, you start to appreciate more of what we begin to offer. Again, featured courses. This is more of what you would say are our top courses, the most enrolled courses, most industry grade, if you will, courses we like to feature every once in a while. Some of our statistics: not over 9,000 users, 11.63 million work earned, 230 total courses on the platform. As you scroll down, you start to appreciate even more, talking about the features we have, course monetization for creators, course builder for them, missions to make it more engaging for students. We've really worked hard on making this a superior learning experience where you can frankly learn anything with kind of a little bit of gamification, but staying core to the ethos of the seriousness that is education. With that, you have some recent activity. You can see what people are doing on the platform. As you can see, very active. And don't just take our word for it. We've got a few reviews here at the bottom. And with that, I guess the next part would be going to actually taking a course or going out and looking from a student perspective, taking your first course. So if you're a new user, what you're going to initially do is head over to the courses platform, or courses page rather. And here again, we have 232 courses on the platform. Now you can search this with our amazing search bar feature that can basically show you every course with the keyword that you're putting in. As well as you can filter by ratings if you want 5-star, 4-star. Maybe it's a bad course, but you want to try it out anyway. You could even go below 4 stars. We've got subjects and levels. So we've got various topics that we cover. We plan to expand this to be much more in the future. We've also got it divided by beginner, intermediate, and advanced levels of courses. So if you're a beginner on the platform, we highly suggest starting out with a beginner course. And as you become more of a veteran, try out the intermediate and advanced courses. And with that, we'll go on to the next process. We'll look at a course that may intrigue you as a new user. Let's say the ADA handle course that we released about a month or two ago. Now, usually what's going to happen is you're going to go on this course preview page. Now this kind of ties into actually what we're doing with the workbook overall. Initially with the workbook, we've got a great vast documentation, and what we want to do is translate that into a course. Now, the beautiful thing about our platform is you can decide to make it free for everybody. So as long as they have an account, they can access the course totally free. But simultaneously, with the DA you're launching with stuff, it could actually be token gated, so that only owners of that DEA could access this course, which will be using that workbook documentation into making it a comprehensive course covering all the topics you cover. So a lot of interesting potential there for what we want to do there, if we want to make it just freely accessible, or if we want to token gate it, because that's a really cool feature that I think educators don't have, is something that shows, hey, you purchased this course without using a centralized service like Coursera or Udemy. So it's got a lot of potential. It's novel, it's new, and we're really excited to explore that, as well as just making it free. But with that, what we can do here is kind of go through the course, explore it a little bit, and see the course process, for example. And so with this, what you'll do here, here's the first lesson. With the workbook, we're going to tie this in, making it nice, making it configured and organized, divided in. Usually what we do is chapters and the lessons within that chapter, so it's more digestible for the students. So, as we go along here, this is just course curriculum for the ADA handle team. They did a phenomenal job on this, by the way. Really happy to have them on the site. But as you go along, you finish the first lesson, you move on. For this purpose, we're not going to go over the whole course materials of ADA handle, more so just showcasing the UX here. But with that, when you finish, what's a really cool thing that what we can do with the workbook is actually issuing a certificate. So we're working with some other partners to kind of see what kind of certification model we can do. We already have an in-house model, but we're looking to expand it even further. There's a individual we're talking to in the near future. It looks very promising to do this. But what we can do is, at the end of this course, when you complete it, we could actually issue a certificate to the person when they complete this course, basically showcasing, in line with our Fund 13 proposal, proof of knowledge, right? When you take a course, it's one thing, but if you can be able to prove it, right? Nobody cares that you went to college if you don't have the diploma or you don't have the certificate to prove it, right? And so that's kind of the idea here. We want to make these courses really mean something. And I think the greatest example of doing that is with the quality workbook that you have, giving a certificate that now someone can not really brag about, but showcase that their knowledge in the space, because it is really comprehensive, the curriculum there is. So, this is kind of the walkthrough of, hypothetical when we implement the workbook as a course on the site. But as you can see, based on our current infrastructure, on top of the kind of customization that we can do, extra stuff on top of it, the certification, the token gating, I think it's going to be a massive success to have you guys on the platform.
Me too. I'm excited, and I'm excited to think about the different ways that we can roll it out, because these are really important factors to consider when you're thinking, okay, we're going to have a community and we're going to shepherd this community. What are the things what are their expectations, and how can we treat them really well? I feel very celebrated having completed this course. Actually, it's very celebrated.
Yeah, the fireworks feature is nice. Sean did that. It was a really beautiful touch.
Very cool. That's neat.
You feel accomplished after you.
I do.
Get it,
yeah.
Right. Yeah.
And I have to say, A to handle is a great thing for people to learn about when they first get started, because it's one of those things that's just really fun.
Absolutely.
It's so fun because the address is said, people don't know, A to handle gives you like a short personalized address that you can use instead of your zillion D character wallet address, and you can just share it with people, and you can personalize it, and you can make cool images with it, and it's just like, their team is awesome. It's a great thing. And sub handles,
I love their team, by the way. Just great people all around. It was such an honor to have them. They made this course entirely on themselves, did a great job with it. It was truly an honor to have them. And overall, just great people. I would say if you're in Cardano, you got to own at least one A to handle. You're not doing it right. You know what I mean? So at the very least, maybe, issue out some sub handles while you're at it. But
that's right. Team. That's right. Get on here and do this course right now, everyone. If you haven't done the course, get an A to handle and sub handle. Anyway, so here's a legitimate question that I'm having, because as I'm having these conversations, I'm going, what's the best way to do this? So the course is free. There are the videos for the course. And then what I'm coming to is trying to decide whether logistically, how does this work? So here I'm going to sort of stumble through the question, and hopefully you can help me make sense out of it. We have content, and the desire, it's the course is built so that people are doing project-based things that they can actually gain experience, which gains momentum, which gains more experience, which gains more interest, which gains more momentum. So each of these areas calls on them to actually apply what they're doing, and that's the component of the workbook. But if someone doesn't have the workbook, there's no really review they can do. I could ask them specific questions in a free course, I could say, but they would be more specific to what was in the video. Versus if they also go and they mint the workbook and they use the workbook, then they should have a version of the course that has assessments related to the workbook. But it would be confusing for someone. Let's say I just come along like we just did, and I'm like, okay, I finished the subhandles course. What's this DeFi thing? And they get into that. It's a free course, but there's questions that go to a workbook they don't have. That's a learning curve I don't want someone to experience. So
yeah, no, I actually totally understand what you're saying, and this is actually what we're trying to do in Fund 13 is that proof of submission protocol. We kind of touched up on that a little bit. So on an elementary level, what we can do is kind of the quizzing components. Now we could upgrade that, the existing quizzing components, but more so in the future when we actually develop this protocol, is what we plan to do is that during a course, it's one thing to be able to get that certificate at the end. but it's also very important that you submit this. Perhaps it goes to review by the instructor before you move on, to prevent plagiarism, prevent cheating, whatever it may be, right? We want to make sure that if someone's taking the course, that they're doing it with integrity. There's no, malicious intent or kind of, manipulating of the course. They're taking it. And so when they earn that certificate, it really does mean something. So with the proof of submission protocol, what it'll do is it's more so on the project-based learning mechanism, right? What you're essentially doing is you have a certain task that needs to be achieved, and you can't move on until it's verified that you achieved it. Now, certain things on chain can be basically automatically tracked, right? If it's an essay or something like that, it'll go back to the teacher, and then they'll approve it, and then you'll move on. Some other things, like I said, on chain, creating a wallet, right? Signing a transaction. Those things can be tracked. Those things can be checked. And then you could move on automatically. And if it's something, if it is a really big course, right, there is going to be some kind of big exam or kind of multiple quizzes throughout where it is relatively challenging, more so than just like a multiple choice question quiz, right? Regardless of how many questions it may be. And so the proof of submission protocol overall, what we're trying to do here, in my view, that'll be the perfect component that, we'll have the existing workbook course created. And then once we develop this, we'll be able to expand that even further. Whereas, okay, you've got 3-4 certain tasks that need to be done throughout this, and it can't be verified unless the crypto fluency team or it's automatically tracked verifies that it's completed. So I think it's a perfect thing to kind of integrate, on what you're talking about here.
So let's introduce the concept of token gating, because the free course, it's starting to feel to me like I should make a free course, free version. It's just the videos. Maybe I make like some simple yes, no kind of closed question.
Or like a freemium model, right? You got like a basic version of it, more like a summary covering a little bit of it. But then you're saying, hey, go get the workbook, and then you can get access to the full course. I think you tease people a little bit. You showcase, hey, there's a lot of information here. If you buy this workbook and you get access to, because like you said, it's going to be token gated, you could do, it's kind of like the freemium model. I think it could be interesting, right? Because once you got people not hooked in, right? But once you got people engaged, interested, wanting to learn it, right? They're not going to want to necessarily steer back when they've already invested this time. So I think it's an interesting path to explore as well. And then as well as, like you said, just doing a free course or, whatever it is that you want to do, we can ultimately accommodate. I don't think that'll be a problem at all.
Yeah, it really is. And I'm going to take off with the proposal. I always think free, because that is the mandate of the proposal, and that is what we're creating here. I also want to think about this for someone who maybe has programming and wants to do paid content or wants to do gated content. And so in this case, or they have like members-based stuff. Like one of the things that's cool about the DEA is that if you can do special stuff for people who hold the DEA or whatever the asset is in their wallet. Like, for example, maybe once a month I airdrop them a special video, or let's take it outside of the education space. If I'm a really popular band or an indie band or whatever, just a regular band, and people have my album in there as a DEA, then when they come to a concert, they get special access to a VIP meet and greet or something like that. You can build these components in. And so when you have this DEA, it has the option to really grant people rewards and incentivization that they wouldn't have otherwise. And also it gives the producer of the content the ability to give them special value, like airdrops and things like that throughout the time. So in an educational environment, an application of that might be, you might have someone who has a DEA, they might pay for the DEA like they would pay for a course or a book, but they get your personalized insight and review once they complete these things. Like maybe at the end of course 1, if they have that DEA and they do the assessments, you meet with them for half an hour and you talk about something, that kind of stuff. So for people who are building a community and who are thinking about educating, you can build in these like important community building touch points with people, and you can manage that easily because you have this whole you have this whole system of analytics and the ability to see what they're doing.
Well, it's also, to add on that, I think you're actually proposing some great stuff here. I'm thinking on the fly here, but one thing as well, just focusing on the educational side of it first, right? The DEA could essentially apply as your key to any kind of course that's in a set of a catalog, right? So let's say you've got 12 courses that cover the fundamentals of DeFi or the fundamentals of lending protocols, 12-hour course, too much to do one course, right? Better divide it up and then make a whole catalog of it.
Mm-hmm.
So what you could do is, just starting off on that, right? The DEA can apply to all of that. But then we could get even more complex, right? So let's say, with the proof of submission in our Fund 13, there's some interesting stuff that we can do once this stuff actually gets released is, like you said, so we can make the course free, but you don't perhaps get to take the assessment or get the certificate.
Right.
And you don't get the back and forth with the instructor. So you kind of only get to digest the information, but you don't get the accreditation to say, hey, I achieved this, unless you pay for it, right? It's only fair to the creator. So I think that's something cool where you can kind of have this dual model. Instead of having a freemium model where you got a whole free course that's entirely separate, right? You could just basically create two separate paths depending on whether they paid or whether they didn't for the same course. So I think, and then, also just saying like a reward mechanism, right? Let's say you complete it, you get a consultation, like you said, with you and Derek, right? For an hour. You could schedule that maybe in the app or, in Wisdom. Maybe we could even go that far, right? So I really like the idea of this. I think this is someone we should explore, especially as we have the proof of submission. The infrastructure is already going to be there for communication between the instructor and between the student. So it's just really a matter of turning that on and off, depending on, did you pay? Do you have the workbook or not, right? And if you don't, you won't get to do the assessments. You won't get to do the accreditation. But if you did, you'll get to go and enjoy the course in full, get accredited for it. So I definitely think with what we've got with Fund 13, it's in the pipeline already. The infrastructure is going to be there once we close out that proposal. So, I think the workbook, the first model that we're going to release, we can just continue expanding it as these features get rolled out. And by the end of it, it's really going to be something incredible. It already is on this first iteration, but as we release more features, it just gets better and better. And we showcase what can you do if you do education right? Because I think oftentimes that's what's lacking, right? We've got great content, great information, but they just don't know how to get it right for the student to really appreciate it, to want to engage with it and not get bored of it, So I think this kind of framework we're talking about, and especially with the release of the workbook to kind of showcase this as the big proof of concept, I'm excited for it. I think it's gonna be fantastic.
It's making me really think, like, over this time of teaching people, and I use the word teaching. I think a lot of the education words that we have are stuffy, right? It's like we just had an experience and we told people about it, and then we learned stuff and we just shared it with people. That's how I think about education in a DeFi space, or in a decentralized space. So when we come together, like, people learn so fantastically in cohorts. That's why I'm so excited about cohorts, because if you come to an experience like this and you went out there and you got that DEA, it's like when you got a baseball card and other people also collect baseball cards come together. You're all excited about the thing because you have interest in the same thing, and you build relationships in a different way, and that helps people to learn because
you build a community.
Yes, you build a community. It's really important. It's really important for this space, because otherwise, like, you don't have anyone to give your ADA handle to, right? It's like you want to be like,
you can't have fun if you're doing it by yourself.
I want something, or I want to send you something, kind of a thing. It's exciting. So I'm actually starting to feel like maybe that workbook, I like the idea of the split, the free, because they'll still earn work, right? I mean, they can still get tokens. There's still incentive.
Oh yeah. I forgot to mention that. You could even do that. So, let's say it could be work tokens. It frankly could be any kind of tokens you want. It could be any crypto. You could do SNEC. You could do ADA. You could do whatever you want. And in the future, we plan on making it even where it could be an Ethereum token, or the Ethereum ETH itself, or Solana. So, that's another reward mechanism where, hey, you could earn a little bit of tokens. I think this is really one of the cool things with businesses that is kind of, I think we haven't marketed it as well. But what you can do is you can offer these courses out and essentially give a little bit of tokens, sort of like the Coinbase learn to earn model.
Yeah.
Right. I think that is really a fantastic way to give exposure to to cryptos in general. I mean, the power of having like Coinbase say, hey, learn about this and you earn $2. Of course, everybody under the sun that's on Coinbase is going to go take that $2 and take the quiz. You know what I mean? So we can do a similar model. And, just because of this $1 or $2, and frankly, tokens you're not going to liquidate as a team anyway, right? Or, maybe you have an allocation for certain events like this, right? You have that opportunity for that. So even on top of all we discussed, you could have a rewards mechanism at the end and that applies to the airdrops too, right? If we can give tokens out, we could essentially give an NFT out on the platform as well. So really, it's the configuration, the beauty of Wisdom is really can configure to exactly what you want as a creator, especially if you're working with us as a team, as we're optimistic to do. It really can be whatever you want it to be for you as an instructor.
So I feel like we resolved a couple of things I've really been thinking about. And I think the path here is the free one when they just earn tokens, and then the gated one where they can't do it unless, because it wouldn't make sense for them, not because we don't want them to have it, but it doesn't make sense for you to have the review questions if you don't have the actual workbook and that stuff and you don't have that guidance. And there's something really important about encouraging people to have a reason to go do something in Cardano. It's not like, go read the white paper. It's like, what is the purpose of reading the white paper? Yes, we could say like, you're gonna come up with new ideas, but do this so that this, and going to get a DEA teaches you about the asset itself. It teaches you about your wallet. It teaches you about gating. It teaches you about how much better Web3 is than Web2 as far as not having passwords and all that stuff. You just don't understand any of those things until you do it. And so having a reason to do that is very helpful. And from the creator's perspective, you've created a revenue stream for yourself that, for this is going to be something phenomenal. But if I have some high level certification program that I'm charging for online, it could become a lucrative thing also, which is something we have to really take into account for onboarding people, that there has to be enough incentive for them to really do the hard work of making this transition. So let's look at the back end here of the, you want to show me like what it looks like to have a course in there?
Oh yeah, so just start teaching. Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, like if I come in and I have a, sorry, I lost my cord here. If I come in and I have something I want to share, I could do it in video, right? I could have a bunch of videos. I could write content.
Oh yeah. You could have. So let's just go through the start of so when you want to make a course, right? So let's go back here. So I'll do a rundown of this page. So what we have is a start teaching. And actually, if you've never taken a course on the My Learning page, it'll actually be Start Learning. So, and then similarly, if you have a course uploaded, it'll be My Teaching. It's kind of to incentivize someone that hasn't taught or hasn't learned on there to kind of get started. And so initially what you'll have, My Learning, the Start Learning page is a little bit different. So My Learning is kind of this dashboard here. But initially you'll have its own separate page where it's just saying Start Learning, get interested, take a course. And then similarly with the Start Teaching, right? So what we do is kind of run down everything. We've got a course here as well that kind of goes over everything about teaching on Wisdom, the core fundamentals, how to make a good course. We're going to actually expand on this as well to get even more comprehensive, to really cover every avenue. This kind of explains the tier system on the platform fees. And then also we've got a support system here. Join Discord, make a ticket. We're always happy to help whenever you guys need. And, with that, so if you want to get started, you can do it two ways, right? The Start Teaching page, or you can actually go down on your drop down on your profile and then click Create a Course. And so when you do this, what ends up happening is you start off with the general information of the course. And first off, you're going to get the course name. What are people going to see when they first read your course? What is the name of the course? And then here is a description, sort of like a short description. If you keep it long, people aren't going to see it. It's going to kind of, let me show you similarly. So if we go here, right, so the name of it is Intersect Overview, and then the description is here. And so we'll go back to creating a course. And so with that, you put it, and then we have, like I said earlier, going back to like the filtering of everything, we've got various topics that, we'll add to, but here are the topics that we have. You'll put it in for the workbooks purpose in Cardano's tab. So I'll just make this a test course for the purposes of this video so we can continue. And that's the good thing about this course builder actually is if, for example, you put in something or forget to put in the course name or the description or what have you, it actually won't let you continue until you do. And then here you start off with the course pricing. So you can accept it in Solana, Cardano, or in our native token work. For the purposes of this, we'll do the free model. And then as I mentioned earlier, if you want to token gate it, we've also got that feature as well. We just do it on custom requests. And then with this, you're going to do your course appearance, what have you. So for this, let me grab a photo here.
I've never done that before. I wonder what mine would come up with. Oh, good, a fly. That's great.
Yeah, great. Not the best thing, but we got it.
It works.
Okay, so we've got that. Okay, so the short description. This is also, it's kind of similarly to the general description. This will kind of be when they start to take the course, what they'll see. So usually what we just do is kind of a little bit redundant, but just for the different preview models you have some. This is where you want to keep it really concise. And then in the general information, the description, as I showed you with the Intersect course, you can kind of go into more paragraph form, a little bit longer, right? So we'll do test description. And then, here's the token gate. So you've got it here, right? So the policy ID or the contract ID, right? So you can token gate your course based on the policy ID of your NFT.
That's awesome. Okay. That's so easy.
You could do it based on your policy ID. So for the DEA, presumably it's going to have a policy ID. Just enter it here, and just like that, it's token gated so that nobody except people who have that DEA under that policy ID or the contract ID as well. So it's kind of cross-chain functionality here. And then
let's real fast for people who might not get that. If you buy an NFT or you buy, let's say you buy the workbook here and you have it and you connect your wallet, you will just like if you were to log into an account, you're automatically going to be able to see this course. But if you don't have it, you won't be able to see it, just in the same way that in Web2 or in like the password format, if you aren't logged in, you can't see a course, but when you log in, then you can see it.
So yeah, basically what it does is you'll have the course preview. So if you search it up, you'll see it in the courses list. And then you can click on it, actually give you a course preview. What it'll do is it'll show you the course name and then the course description. So it'll give you a summary of it, as well as it'll show you the modules and like chapters, the lessons, what it's covering, but it won't actually showcase any of the information. So you will have to have that NFT. It'll be verified by your wallet being connected, right? You'll have to connect with the wallet that has the NFT, obviously, to verify you own it. And then you'll be able to go in without issues. So it really is as simple as that. You purchase the DEA with the stuff launch that you guys have going, and then automatically when this course is launched, they really won't have to do anything but connect their wallet, and they should be good to go.
Super straightforward. That's awesome.
Yeah, and one thing that Sean was really proud of that I'll have to brag about for his sake is the delegate to pool requirement. This was something really cool he did for a few state pool operators because he saw such a need for it. A lot of state pool operators, they unfortunately don't really have a lot of ways to token gate based on who's staking to their pool. So actually what Sean built is that if you have a stake pool and let's say you're an educator making courses or what have you, only your delegators can access it based on your pool ID. So very cool.
That's really
Very
cool.
So if you ever make a crypto fluency pool, we got you. No problem.
That's awesome. So for people who are newer to it, but a lot of people start to understand staking when they get to Cardano. It's one of the first things. So if you stake this, you stake to someone, the pool you're staking to could make content just for you that only you could see if you got
You could make a course. Hey, how do I stake for the first time? And then in the course, you tell them, hey, we've got courses covering everything, but you got to stake to us.
So good.
There you go.
That's a great idea.
You know what I mean?
It's really important. It's really important to understand, because building a community and is difficult. You know, it's not easy to build a community, especially.
And that's go ahead. Sorry.
No, especially if you are really like niched and fantastic at something. Building a community is also a niche and fantastic thing. And to be great at both of those things isn't always something, even if you have this great, fantastic knowledge, you might not always be able to cultivate that with people. And so this really gives someone a format to be able to do that.
And, you know, when you look at it, right, education, I think is one of the most, especially in industry where it's so novel, so new to everybody really in it. I mean, even as you may become a veteran, there's still going to be things that may be a little bit hard to grasp, right? And education is one of those underserved, under-recognized things for being so critical to growth, wherever it may be, right? Bitcoin, you know, it's very simple to understand what it is. It's just digital gold. Not a lot to educate for somebody looking to invest in it, right? But when we get to these more intricate ecosystems like Ethereum, like Cardano, there is a lot to grasp. There is a lot to appreciate. And there's big Bitcoin DeFi is coming in, a whole nother market that people are going to have to get educated on, because frankly, most Bitcoin holders probably have no idea what DeFi is. And, you know, with that, you know, we're trying to build all those features, all those tools that you'll have. So no matter what you're doing here, if you want to token gate somebody, if you just want to sell it for money, sell it for money. If you want to sell an NFT, if you want to make someone delegate to your stake pool, you want to make it totally for free and people can just tip you. In the future, we want to even do subscriptions, right? So you can subscribe monthly and perhaps someone releases a course every month. So really just providing every tool, providing infrastructure for education. I think with wisdom, and especially with what we're doing here to showcase what you can actually do if you do it right. With the workbook, we're going to do it right. We're going to do a phenomenal job on it. And we'll be able to show everybody else that, look, this is what you're missing out on. This is how you grow your company, your community, your ecosystem. Join in on the new way to educate. But anyway, enough of the elevator pitch on the fly here.
Well, it gets you excited. I mean, and every time I have these conversations, I get more excited, and I feel like I figure more things out. And I was thinking before we started, because sometimes I just have to be honest, I get like tired of having to really figure things out. Like that's a big part of this space when something's emerging, is that you're constantly trying to figure out how to resolve things. And only through collaborations do you really do that quickly. And it's so energizing. That's one of the reasons that it's so helpful to bring the stuff that you know into an educational space, because you're helping someone not only overcome that feeling and to be able to come out on the other side ready to do something, but you're connecting with them as that's happening. And so you're really becoming part of someone's process rather than, you know, a moment in their experience. And so there's so much here. I want to ask one more thing. So back to course pricing. So if someone charges for a course, what happens? Like, what can they receive?
Okay, so what we're going to do is expand it to ETH tokens, and eventually we want to have fiat integration, so you could actually pay with a credit card. And then vice versa on the teacher side, you could actually accept cash in your bank account. Presumably what we want to do is we're looking at Stripe as a partner. I think that's very achievable by the end of the year here. But for now, what we do is we accept payments in Cardano, in Solana, and then our native token work. And theoretically as well, it could also apply to Solana native token or a Cardano native token. So on custom request, that could actually be done. So let's say if it's, you know, SNEC tokens or, you know, Midnight tokens, Dust tokens, right? Well, that's not a Cardano native token, but you get my point.
Yeah. So just to drive this home, if someone comes on here and they earn work for learning, they can then use that work to buy other courses. So you could start. You could start with zero, learn a bunch of stuff, get incentivized for learning it, and then go use that to really up level the things that you're learning.
Oh yeah, yeah, and you could earn, like I said, if we're doing events with certain projects, or if there's grant funding to kind of allocate like a rewards disbursement, like in future Catalyst grants or whatever it may be,
Yeah.
right? You could even make it where the first 100 students will get 5 ADA, or whatever it may be, right? So there's all sorts of different things that we can kind of do here. But yeah, I mean, you could receive Solana as long as you have a Solana wallet, right? If you're connected with a Solana wallet, you can receive Solana. If you're connected with Cardano wallet, you can receive Cardano. Yeah, with the native tokens as well, it applies to the same thing. Sorry, just kind of lost my train of thought there, but
No,
yeah, it really can apply to everything, and that's what's so cool about this platform. Is really all the infrastructure is there. It's just a matter of what part of the menu do you want to apply to your course.
I want to make sure before we leave, because in the beginning I talked about the either you can bring it up, or I have the link here handy that I can give it to you, and you can just pull it up since you're already sharing screen. But this is your guys' proposal. It's very Philadelphian. Your guys' proposal. This is the Wisdom courses proposal. This is pre rebrand that it was work courses, so that's why it'll show up that way. But I think it's cool to just have people be able to go here and learn about some of the credentialing stuff that we talked about, and just see the overview of the things that you're building in. Very, very inspiring. And you have master classes here, so we're hoping to apply the same sort of things we're learning and testing here into those master classes, so that they really can come to life for people. That's really it. You want someone to be alive in their learning and enjoying it, rather than sort of experiencing it two-dimensionally. So
yeah, so I guess we'll kind of cover the proof of submission protocol, should we?
Cool.
Yeah. Okay. Give me 1 second. Let me get here. So Fund 13, I'll kind of just give a basic summary. What we want to do is making high quality curriculum for end users, developers, and businesses. We kind of covered this in the previous call, so I won't repeat it. But the other things that we want to do on top of that is the proof of submission, proof of knowledge protocols. Now, we've kind of talked about this, but it warrants further discussion. So with the proof of submission protocol, 1 second while we get to that point. I guess we should start with the proof of knowledge protocol.
Yeah, that's good.
So with this, going back to kind of what we already have the infrastructure available for, but we really want to enhance this, which is why we included it in Fund 13, is the accreditation model after you've completed a course and it's verified you've completed a course. So it's a little bit separate to say the proof of submission protocol, but along the same thread. So essentially what we want to enhance is make it various options versus how can you get your certificate at the end of the course. Now, is it by email? Is it by NFT? Is it hosted on the Wisdom platform where it's just stored there? Do you download as a PDF? What kind of enhanced models can we provide to give a little bit further flexibility for the creator without overwhelming them too much with how much customization there is? And with that, it's pretty self-explanatory overall, right? It's just about, okay, we verified that the student has completed the course. How can we give them a certificate that can't be manipulated, is verifiable, has a date of when it was issued? Like an on-chain model, basically, if it's an NFT, right, it's going to have your name on it. It's going to be minted, or some kind of other on-chain mechanism that we're exploring. But it's going to have a date of when it was produced, when it was minted. And it's also going to have your name on it, and it can't be manipulated, right? It's going to say true to your name. It's going to show when it was issued. It can't be altered, can't be doctored, can't be faked, because it'll be registered to the same policy ID for that certificate. So, in summary, that's kind of the ethos of the proof of knowledge protocol. But as I said, it's pretty self-explanatory. We've kind of already got the infrastructure for it. This is just a matter of enhancing it even further. And then the second part of this is the proof of submission protocol. And what we want to do here is going back to kind of what we discussed a little bit earlier. The core objectives of the proof of submission is that project-based learning. We really want that to be something, especially with our new LMS product that's similar to Canvas. We really want there to be a project-based learning mechanism where along the way of this course, because especially as more industry grade, standardized, more comprehensive courses come into play, people are going to need to verify that, okay, in chapter 1, we talked about such and such. I need to verify that they know this. And then at the end, they need to take a final exam and pass it as well, right? So we want to kind of add those components into our learning module, into our LMS platforms, so that, with each chapter, you could take an exam or have to complete an activity on chain. Another element of this is also just having a wallet signed to make sure it's that student actually participating in that course, right. Or signing on chain to make sure that it's them, and they know their spending password. It can't be altered, can't be doctored, has to be that wallet, or they can't continue on. So for example, this would play really best in an exam or a quiz setting, right? So what you want to do is verify without a doubt that it was this person taking it. So for example, if there is plagiarism, if there was a fail, if there was cheating or any kind of malicious thing happening, you would verify that it was them. And vice versa, if they do pass it, it was them, and no malicious stuff happened, right? So, I would say that's kind of the ethos of what we're doing here with the 2 protocols. Again, it's really about accreditation and establishing integrity into these courses, so that when you complete these and when we issue a certificate, it actually means something. There's so many platforms that'll issue a certificate, but when you really accept it, on a random learning site, it doesn't mean much, and very few people take it seriously, right? We want to make it so that if there is a wisdom certificate for a course being issued out there, most of the time it's going to be in coordination with us. We want to make sure that it's a course and a certificate that really means something. So when you showcase it, for example, like those developer courses for the Cardano Masterclass, we want that to mean something, so that when you go to an employer, you verified with that project-based learning that you know what to do, and you've got the certificate to prove it. And that kind of model, I think over the next coming months, especially as we develop that, that's going to be one of our more ambitious things, and what we're frankly most excited about.
It feels like there's going to be lots of different ways that can be tested too.
Oh yeah.
There's so much opportunity for the person who wants to use it, and I think there's so much opportunity for wisdom courses because there's so many people who are going to want to use it. So anytime that happens, you really get a swirl of engagement and adoption, and that will be exciting to watch. And building these little special pieces into it will, you want the person who's learning from you to really feel like you've thought them through before they even got there.
And you want them to learn it. You don't want them to just go through it and be like, oh yeah, I took it, but in reality they didn't learn anything, right? Because you're when a creator takes the time to educate somebody, you're doing it because you actually want to teach someone. And without the proper infrastructure, without the proper tools at your discretion to be able to use, it's very hard for you to make that relationship between student and teacher, right? And so that's kind of, we've got a lot of that already here. And with that first iteration of the workbook, people are going to see it, especially with kind of the things that we're talking about today. But, as wisdom expands, the potential for the workbook, the expansion of the workbook is going to be even so much more, especially as we release each feature as the months roll by. So overall, first iteration is going to be a revolutionary concept. I think people are going to really start to appreciate what we've been working on the last few months. And then as we expand it, it just further showcases that, look, we're trying to be the hallmarks of education. We're trying to showcase a framework that other educators can adopt. Because overall, we want to push the industry forward. And, frankly, outside the industry, if we get that far, right? But the most pressing issue is Cardano, this industry. We want it to expand. And the best way to do that is through an educational framework that actually works.
I really agree. It's why this is such a nice it's such a nice pairing. It's one of those things where two groups come together and they really are aligned on a very similar thing, and that compounds it. So really appreciate this conversation, like I do all of our conversations. And I think that we've resolved the remaining things that I need to be able to do the workbook. And so the next time we come together, I will probably have that completed. I'll probably have that completed such that we can start to build that in, build that into how the course looks. And then the last step is to just really like take it live. I know Sheila at Stuff is they're just like ready to try things out. It's so
ready to pounce. Yeah.
Well, those
guys are great.
Yeah. It's fun. Yeah, it's fun to experiment. It's fun to experiment with something that you're actually going to use, and that people are going to be able to use. So that's going to be the next conversation. And did we leave anything out?
No, I think that's it. I really appreciate you taking the time again. I'm really excited to do this overall. So looking forward to it. Finally, execution mode as we head into the coming weeks. So I'm ready for it. Thanks again, Nadia. Appreciate it.
Great.